Hi, I'm Tim Scales, the Director of the Center for Entrepreneurship and the Center for Economic Education here at Indiana University East.
It's my pleasure to introduce you to another episode of In Your Business.
We talk to local entrepreneurs, we learn about their business, we learn about why they started their business, how they started their business, some of the opportunities their businesses has provided them and their community, as well as some of the hurdles they've gone through, some of the challenges. Welcome to another episode of In Your Business. Today we're going to get to know an entrepreneur that's just a little bit of a different entrepreneur from a standpoint that he's following his passion. Now, I think passion is something you have to follow as an entrepreneur, but a lot of times when we think about an entrepreneur, we start thinking about storefront, or maybe we think about the internet, we think about, what their business may look like. And today the entrepreneur we're going to work with is Toby Ladd. And Toby's very much more about nature, and he likes to be outdoors. And so he has found a way to take entrepreneurship to the outdoors. And so I'm excited to get to know you, Toby. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So Toby, you've got this business. It's called Nature's Image.
Yep.
And we're going to learn about that business here in just a couple minutes.
All right.
Well, prior to that, I always like to get to know the entrepreneur, the person we're working with.
All right.
And so Toby, you're from this region, is that correct?
Williamsburg, yeah.
So you grew up in Williamsburg?
I grew up in Williamsburg. I've been to a few other places for short amounts of times, but this is home, and I didn't miss nothing by growing up here,
Well, I don't think so either.
Yeah,
I mean, I grew up here too, and I've traveled around the world.
Yeah.
I mean, been in several countries, and I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
We are getting the best of quality of life right here.
I think so. I think so, yeah.
And so, why don't you share with us though a bit, because you went to Northeastern High School.
Yep.
And you graduated from there.
Yep.
And when you graduated, what were you thinking? What did you want to do? What did you think
Go to
you'd
the
be?
mountains.
You wanted to go to the mountains?
All I wanted to do was go out west, get in the mountains. That's what I wanted to do.
Right from high school?
Before high school.
Before high school?
Yeah. I knew that's what I wanted. And but my dad, we had a delivery business with Wayne Works, and so I got to travel all over the country. I got to have that, what I wanted, and experience that, and then come back home. I don't know how many hundreds of trips I got to go out. I'd go out, I'd see someplace I want to go. I'd pull that bus over on the side of the road, and a lot of times, and just head up the mountain.
So you were delivering buses for your father, who is an entrepreneur.
Yes.
And so you get to go on all these different trips.
Yeah.
All these different directions.
Yeah.
And you're smiling because I think there were some trips that really meant something to you.
It was great. I had a great life, man. I mean, if it ended stepping out of this room, I've lived life.
That's what it's.
It is. I'm lucky. And a lot of it had to do with my folks, and giving me that freedom to do those things that you love,
Sure. Well, I mean, that's the spirit that I want to hear in an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Because it's opportunities, and we have to take advantage of those opportunities. We have to recognize them and pursue them.
Yeah.
But the most important thing is to know what we're passionate about. And obviously, you know what you're passionate about.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
And so you wanted those mountains, huh?
That's what I wanted to do, so I did.
You'd pull a bus over and head up the mountain?
Take off.
Wow.
Take off. And from that, and with my work, and from doing that with my work, when I'm building the waterfalls, I'll tell people, that look, this is from my experience. This ain't just from me looking at some pictures somewhere, and this is from things I've seen. This is from the smells, the sounds that I've seen. It ain't. It's not. I think it's. I know. Okay. I've been there. I know.
All right.
And they're never big enough. I always want them bigger.
Okay.
Because when I see them out west, they're huge.
Yeah.
They're giant, but you can't, you'll never do better than nature.
I think it's interesting because the people watching the show probably think, well, what's this guy do? Because we started talking about, where you grew up and you graduated, okay? So you graduate, you start delivering buses for your father, you're going all over the United States with the buses.
Alaska.
You see a mountain, you pull over, you're on that mountain, you're following your passion. You always got that bus delivered, and then you got back home.
Yeah.
And then there was another trip waiting for you.
Could be, unless I wanted to, yeah. And it wasn't like you was here, pop, 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 like that. You'd come home, have time to go out in the woods, go mushroom hunting, go hunting, go arrowhead hunting. You know, I was so lucky.
Sure.
So lucky.
Well, it sounds like it,
And
but
I
it also
realized
sounds like
that.
you knew what you wanted. So many
Yeah.
people don't have a clue. You know,
Yeah.
they know what
Yeah.
people tell them they should do,
Yeah.
but they're not really sure what they want to do. You seem
Yeah.
to be focused,
I think I was, yeah.
and I
Yeah.
think that's great. Now, let's talk about this, though.
All right.
When did you stop working for your father delivering buses and start doing what you wanted to do? Now, I know you wanted to do that, but you have your own business.
Yeah.
What was that transition from that to this?
I had kids, got divorced. It just didn't work. I couldn't be gone anymore. I had the kids. I had to raise the kids. I didn't
Okay.
have to. I did raise the kids. My son, mentally physical handicap. I had to be around.
Sure.
So I had to figure out something else. I had a painting business for a while. I'm a good painter. But I didn't like being trapped inside or being encased in those fumes and stuff. And, you know, you work hard to keep yourself in shape, and then you're breathing in these fumes to make money.
Yeah.
It just wasn't, I didn't care about the money.
Yeah.
There's way more to life than money. I know some people would say not, but that's their opinion.
Right.
I have mine.
Yeah.
So then I started getting into landscaping, and the more I did, the better I liked it. And then I wanted to get into the specialized with building the water features, waterfalls. And because I had seen so many and been around it, for me it was just like, yeah, you know, this is me. I want this. And so, you know, slowly started doing it. I ended up going up around Chicago. Met a girl when I was I'm a skydiving instructor also. I was in Mexico, met a girl from up there in Indiana. We got together, moved up there, decided I'm up there all the time, I've got to work more. So I started working up there, did real well up there, did very well up there, had a good niche. The economy went sour, and I was never happy up there because of the surroundings where I was at. It was not me. It was good money, good work, but it was bad health, bad head, nothing. It just wasn't the right place.
Okay.
You know, so, you know, I decided to come back here. I'm so at peace back here.
Sure.
I'm happy here. And, yeah, I mean, it'd be nice if there was more work, but I don't require much. I'm not in debt. So I can live a freer life. I'm swinging into a few other things, starting to raise bees, another kind of do-it-yourself kind of thing. So, yeah, man, for me, you need to be happy. If you're not happy, I couldn't go to work. I couldn't go to work and get up thinking, oh God, I gotta go. You know, why live life like that? It's short. You know, we get one shot at this. You ought to be happy.
Toby, it's interesting to listen to you because I know I've heard other people tell me, but you know it's not about the money, and it's what makes you happy.
Yeah.
It's what makes you comfortable.
Yeah.
You've got to learn to live within your means, which obviously you have.
Yeah.
And you've had those means high, you've had those means low.
Yeah.
I mean, you've tried
Yeah.
the Chicago thing, you've tried bringing your business big, and
Yeah.
you've done well with it. And now you're back home in Indiana.
Yep.
And you know, I think there's a lot to be said for our comfort here.
Yeah.
The real experiences, I think, come from here. And
Yeah.
they're from our hearts. And
Yeah.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
You're following yours. You've gone from the paint business to the landscaping. And I think you know what you're doing when it comes to landscaping.
Yeah.
Your passion and what you like has been the waterfalls.
Yeah.
From that, now you're raising bees?
I mean, it's just another, you know, it's kind of like if you're doing something, and I'm a hunter. If I go someplace and there's just not that much there, you got to be able to move it. You always got to be able to flex. You know, animals do. That's why they last.
Okay.
We got to be able to. You got to take the hits. You got to take the bumps. And you might get shut off here. You got to be able to come back knowing, you know, the economy will come back.
Sure.
Things will come back, and when they do, I'll be around. I'll be ready to jump back at it. But till then, I've wanted to raise bees for decades.
Okay.
All right, I can now. I can take a shot with it. And So I am.
I've got to ask a question though. What kind of bees and what do you do with them?
Honeybees.
Okay.
Honeybees. Hopefully they're not too nasty, you know. But no, you raise them. You can raise them for bee stock to sell them as stock.
Okay.
Raise the honey product, the wax, the propolis, the honey, the bees themselves. It's one of those. It's a nature thing again. It's that satisfaction of doing something you like, being where you like.
Sure.
Instead of being someplace where you're just dreading and stressed out all the time. Man, I don't have stress. I got no stress.
Yeah.
So, and I think those are the things that makes it that way.
That's great.
It is.
Early on, when you were doing the painting, did you think of yourself as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, to a degree, yeah.
What was your thoughts then?
You want to make ends meet. I was trying to make sure I was able to provide for the kids. And it was a different situation, with my son the way he is. I knew I couldn't, I had to turn down a very good job from a very big painter in town who was a hunter. Okay. Who was we just hit it off.
Right.
He offered me his lead foreman job, but I had to be there before I sent my daughter to school, and I'd be gone after, she would be home, and then plus with my son, and I just thought, I can't. It would have been good, it would have been good money. I may have that business now, big business, but I may have had a heart attack by now.
Sure.
From stressed out.
Sure.
I know that kind of stuff is just it's not me. So, I'm not a mechanic, so I don't work on my truck.
Okay.
And it's kind of that same thing. I know that's not me, so I don't set myself up to fail.
Okay. But what's interesting is you've been able to utilize entrepreneurship to follow your passion, which has been nature. It comes from the mountains into... Let me tell you, as I ask around about guests that come on my show, there's a couple things I learn about you. You are a hunter. You love waterfalls, and you do a beautiful job with them. And you're very artistic.
Yeah.
That's what I'm told.
Yeah.
And so it's neat that you've been able to follow your passion through entrepreneurship.
Yeah, yeah. And because if I didn't, I'd be stuck in a factory somewhere that... Yeah, I have no problem being different. I understand this is not the lifestyle for everybody.
Yeah.
But for those that can do and deal with it, it's great.
Well, it seems like opportunities are what you make of them. And
I think so, yeah.
You can grab them and do what you want.
Yeah.
And you have.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the waterfalls.
Right.
Just because I love water and I love what you can do with it.
Yeah.
But I also have seen some photos and I've seen a video and I know some of your work. And when we talk about nature's image, when I think about water features, a lot of times they're very structured. They look apart.
Yeah.
Yours isn't.
No.
Tell me about your work.
That's the nature part. There's no straight lines in nature. You don't have it. They're not there. You see a straight line, it didn't come from nature. A crack in a rock or something, but if they're straight, it's not from nature. Nature moves, nature flows. It has a rhythm, it has its own, and that's how I can never make the waterfalls as good as I want. Either space availability, people maybe don't have the money to make some of the things I see. I'm dying for the time when I have the proper landscape person that says, I don't care the money, I like what you do, I've seen what you do it, make it look good, don't worry about it. I haven't had that yet. I was very close once.
Yeah.
But when I was up north, there was a guy had a pond. He had built just like a pyramid and just had stair-step waterfalls coming down it. At each stair-step, he had two rocks. And I said, dude, you gotta, let's work on that. And that's what he had called me for. He said, yeah, no, it's not right. I mean, it was 20-some feet high, 20 feet stream, 20 foot wide, Well, we cut it down to 14 foot, gave it some changing movement,
Sure.
like you're saying, so that it doesn't look cookie cutter, box cut. I built one, it had a 48, a 43, and a 38 foot. I put 3 streams of those lengths, 6 foot varying widths that move and change with different pools. And one area he made like right below the falls, the biggest falls, he had this rock that was the size of a couch. He said, you got to do something good with this rock. And I put it right there, so when he was sitting in the pool at the base of the waterfall, this big rock was sitting there, and he said, oh yeah, perfect, that's, that feels good, to know that you've done something good for somebody.
Sure.
And that they appreciate it like that. But that was a big water. That was a big thing. And I'm tickled that I had the opportunity to work on that one.
How many of these do you think you've done?
I don't know. I mean, not thousands.
Yeah.
Not even hundreds. I mean, it takes time. It's hard work. There ain't no question about it.
Sure.
You're moving around rocks at half the size of that chair. You got to learn leverage, and it's hard work. But I don't know, maybe 50 somewhere.
Okay.
I guess maybe.
It's interesting, and I'm very intrigued by it. That's why I keep coming back to the waterfalls.
Oh, they're great.
But what's neat is the fact that you've been able to take nature and turn it into your passion and your entrepreneurial experience.
Yeah.
There's so much you can do with that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had programs that through my center called Build a Rock, and with Build a Rock, we take people to the river, we pick up rocks, we bring them back, we clean them, and we try to create a product. And when I say a product, we're talking about something that maybe they've painted, something they've decorated, maybe a doorstop, maybe it's a gift for somebody, whatever it might be. Yeah. I've probably had 3,000 people now that have gone through my program with Build a Rock.
Really?
And I've turned it into a storybook for second graders, and it's very it's neat.
Yeah.
But people laugh when they first hear me say that I can teach entrepreneurship and economics with Build a Rock, because I take a natural resource and turn it into a product.
Right.
You are doing the exact same thing. You're taking a natural resource and turning it into something special.
Yeah.
And I know that man sitting in his pool with that nice waterfalls, I know the feeling he had to have.
Yeah.
And probably the reason everybody doesn't have it is because of the expense. It's not cheap.
It is.
But, it's priceless when somebody's that happy.
Oh, it is, yeah. And I wish I could do them. I wish I could do them for nothing, but I can't.
Right. I mean, how could you? And why would you?
Yeah. I just can't. And and it bothers me. There's been so many times I've given stuff away free because you need another plant there. You need a tree there.
Sure.
Now we spend all we're going to spend.
And then you put it there.
It's got my name on it. It's got my name on it. I'll put it in there.
Yeah.
And I don't charge for it, and that's probably not a very smart thing. That's not good entrepreneurship.
No, it's not, and I don't want to promote that thinking that people should get things for free.
But that's just me.
But it's the free market, and you have to price your product, and people have to understand that there's a value to it.
Yeah.
And it's like any art. Art is a part of entrepreneurship. Yeah. And I mean, the books here are people who have put their art onto the cover of a book that I'm the author of.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's value to art.
Right.
And people's time, the whole bit. I mean, this is priceless.
And plus, what art, not everybody has it.
That's correct.
If you are an artist or you're not, you can become a painter.
Right.
That don't make you an artist.
Right.
I've wanted to do children's book. I don't even know how many decades that one has been, that I would love to do that. But it's just the, how do you get into it? But it all has to do with nature and the woods and that kind of thing. Just some things are just fantasy stuff, but I've wanted to do that. And whether that's the artist or whether that's the entrepreneur, I don't know which it is.
It can be both.
Yeah,
I mean, you can certainly be an entrepreneur and be an artist all in one. And I mean, it's the neatest thing I think about entrepreneurship is the freedom. It's not about getting rich. It's not about working when you want. It's not about any of that. It's about the freedom of basically doing what you want
Yeah.
with what you have. I mean,
Yeah.
whether you're going to be selling something professionally, you know, that you resell, or if
Yeah.
you're going to be starting something new, whether you're going to be that artist.
Yeah.
It's whatever you want to make it.
It is. Yeah, absolutely. And there's going to be lucky breaks along the way. There's going to be bumps. There'll be times you think, man, what have I done? Why am I, you know? But if in the end, at the end of the day, you're happy, you can sleep with a good conscience.
Mm-hmm.
You're ahead.
But Toby, I've got to ask you. I've got to ask, because when I teach entrepreneurship here at the university, you know, I have the students in the management classes, in the accounting class, finance, marketing, you know, all those classes that basically give them a foundation to go out and start a business as we know commonly.
Mm-hmm.
You're an entrepreneur. You've had your own business. You have your own business. You've done some really great jobs. How did those things blend with you? I mean, you like the mountains. How do you feel about accounting and finance?
I hate
and
it.
Taxes.
I'm
and the whole
terrible
bit?
at it, and I
Yeah.
know that I am. It's where I fail. You know, I know. I'm able to say, look, I'm not good at this.
Your
You
business
know,
has to have it, though.
It does have to have it, and I struggle, and I struggled before. Yeah, it's terrible.
What do you do?
You just do what you can, do what you got to do. Let somebody else do your tax. You know, take your tax to somebody else.
Yeah.
And then try to just, all right, I don't want to get stressed about that.
Right.
I want, and I have, and will continue to have, peace and low stress.
Yeah.
You know, keep it simple, and keep the stress out. And I think that's what keeps me happy. You know, that's what I'll say. It works for me.
Mm-hmm.
Would I try to tell my children to do it this way? You know, everybody's different.
Sure.
People who are in CEOs, they're CEOs because that's their mentality.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have that mentality. I don't need to. Tell others what to do. I don't need to boss anyone around, and I don't need that luxury car, luxury house, luxury everything.
Mm-hmm.
Simplicity. You know.
Well, that's great, and you know, it's true. Entrepreneurs come in all different sizes,
Yeah.
all different packages.
Yeah.
So what happens is, depends on what they're looking for.
Yeah.
And you could be the CEO of a private company,
Yeah.
resell, whatever. But hey, you are the CEO
Yeah.
of your company.
Yeah. And if the other makes somebody happy, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Right.
I don't mean it. I don't mean to say it like that. I just mean, I just believe in being happy and doing things that make you happy. Life is short.
Mm-hmm. But see, I think that's interesting. That's what's fascinating about bringing you on and getting to know you as an entrepreneur, because a lot of people think, okay, let's become an entrepreneur, let's own our own business, let's make lots of money, let's have that fancy car, let's have that big house, let's do all those things.
Yeah.
But you know what would make you happy? Is creating that biggest waterfalls.
It is, man. It is, absolutely. There's no question about it.
I mean, I don't think you would care
Yeah.
about that big check that you walk home with. I
No.
think you would be happier going back and saying, check this out.
Yeah.
Turn on that switch.
Yeah.
And watch that water flow.
I do. When I see them light up, oh, that's. I mean, I still ask for my check. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, but I mean, to see that's. Yeah, you're right. That's the part that for me is like, all right, man.
Well, that's what I want to see more of, because
Yeah.
all too often I think people think it has to be structured, it has to be
Yeah.
this, it has to be that. It's what we're comfortable with, it's what we know.
Yeah.
But you got to follow your heart, you got to follow your dream.
Yeah.
And you know, it is short, and so what happens is, you know, if you know what you want to do it.
Yeah.
And that's a part of the freedom of entrepreneurship.
I think so, yeah.
I mean, the other things are there. You've got to be able to set it up. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
capital is always the biggest issue, I think, for entrepreneurs.
Absolutely.
Because you
Yeah.
can't just go out here and build me a water fountain.
No.
I mean, you know, if you're going to build me a waterfalls or a fountain or anything else, you're going to have supplies.
Right.
And somebody's got to pay for those.
Right.
And you know, somebody's got to upfront it, and then somebody's going to get reimbursed, but, you know, it's still there.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, without a doubt, after talking to you today and getting to know you, there's probably a time you got to walk away.
From.
Many things, but,
Yeah.
but you know,
Yeah.
for instance, when you go out to see what somebody wants you to do,
Yeah.
you find out you just can't do that.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to work with that person.
No. It takes more money than that. You've got, you know, and if not, I don't like not being able to get the job done, to do the job.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. Sometimes you just got to say, I'm sorry, I can't. You know, it can't be done for that, or you don't have the right setup. You know, if somebody wants a, you know, you got what, 9-foot ceiling, 10-foot. If they want an 8-foot waterfall in that corner, it's just not right.
Mm-hmm.
And I've lost work because of saying, instead of saying, yeah, we'll throw something up there, it won't be right there.
Now,
and
do
I'm
you
not
do
gonna
indoor
it.
as well as outdoor?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I didn't realize that.
And you know, you don't do a lot of those because, you know, that's just, my waterfalls are loud. I want a mountain loud, you know, but you can do them. I can do them not as big, but for the most part, I'll ask them, do you want a little babbling brook, a little stream, or do you want a crasher? You want to hear the mountains,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, there's no doubt in my mind what you like. And I mean, you've outlined it well for me, and you know, I can't say thank you enough for sharing that.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's not just one type of entrepreneur that I want to know. I want to know all types of entrepreneur, and you're certainly one that's followed your passion, and don't anybody stop you.
No. I've had plenty say, and I just got to turn and say, you know, this is the way I do it. This is me. So
I think you're obviously doing it well.
I'm happy with it.
So thanks. I want to conclude this show.
All right.
Thanks again for watching another episode of In Your Business. Today we've learned from a very fascinating entrepreneur, Toby Ladd. Toby's followed his passion. You know, just as you just learned from the show, Toby knew in high school what he really wanted. He wanted to be a part of the mountains. He visited the mountains. He's done a lot of things around the mountains, but now he's brought the mountains back to our region. And he's put in a lot of waterfalls. I say a lot, 50, 60. But he's proud of each and every one of those because that's a part of who he is. And you know, that's what entrepreneurship is. It's a part of who we are, and it's what we're passionate about. It's what we follow our dreams to become. And so I think we should support local entrepreneurs. Again, thanks for watching In Your Business.